Hey there YouTube, hello left-handed knife people. I'm Joe, you're watching Ink&Iron, and today we're going to talk about using knives with your left hand. This might seem like an odd discussion if you're a right-handed person. However, a couple years back had an injury to my right hand, so I had to use my left hand for a month. And one of my conundrums was not all of my knives were usable in my left hand, at least not easily. This discussion is going to apply to folding knives, obviously a fixed blade. Anyone can use like a kitchen knife or a camp knife in either hand, not a problem. And the three factors that kind of go into it are going to be whether or not the lock mechanism is friendly for the left hand, whether or not you can reposition the clip to carry it on your left side rather than your right side, and the general size of the knife is going to factor into how easy it is to operate with either hand, so that includes the left hand. All right, let's turn the camera around and let's get into this. Okay, let's start off this discussion of left-handed knives with a pretty easy one. Here's a Victorinox Classic. Obviously, these implements are able to be taken out with either hand. Slip joint blades tend to be good like that. And yeah, I think that's one of the reasons that these tools are so popular, although it isn't a reason that we discuss very often. Okay, let's talk about clip repositionability. So for this case, we'll bring out these two knives. Here's a CRKT LCK. As you can see, there are some screws, right? Recessed screws holding in this clip. However, there is not a corresponding cutout on this side of the handle. So it's going to be clipped in like this, and that makes it a right-handed knife, because you are meant to hit that tab with your right hand. However, if we disregard the clip, we can operate this knife with the left hand. It just isn't as friendly to carry around. Unlike the Spyderco Para 3 here, which has another clip position on the other side. So you can put the clip over here, carry it on your left side, and whoops, flick it out like that. And this knife isn't too bad, despite having a compression lock, but we'll talk about the compression lock in more detail in just a second. Okay, so we've established that slip joints and knives that are able to be carried on the left side are good for left-handers. What about compression locks? So this is the Spyderco Yojimbo 2, recently reviewed on the channel, and this is a good example of why I don't like a compression lock on a full-size knife in my left hand, because I have to pinch it like this to get that to close. For me, this feels pretty shaky. I am just like pinching the backside of the knife when I'm doing this. It feels a lot less sturdy in my hand than when I go for it on the right side. So I can have my thumb opposing the other three fingers and disengage the lock and keep my fingers clear of the blade path. So for me, a full-size knife with a compression lock isn't great in the left hand. However, if we shrink that compression lock down, it becomes way easier to work in the left hand. This knife is smaller and lighter, and therefore this grip doesn't feel quite as insecure as it does on the Yojimbo. And this is the Spyderco Lil Native. Obviously, I'm not as dexterous wielding this in my left hand, but yeah, this knife is surprisingly left-hand friendly, which leads me to the point that the size of the knife is going to factor in a lot as to whether or not you can wield it in both hands. And yeah, this one also has a left side clip position. So yeah, this is a surprisingly lefty friendly knife, even though it has a compression lock, which on a full-size knife makes it a little unwieldy in the left hand. Another point I'd like to bring up on knives that aren't designed specifically for the left hand is that a finger choil will help you quite a bit. A finger choil or a flipper tab. Here's a good example of a knife with a flipper tab. This is the Steel Will Cut Jack, and I like this knife in the left hand for a couple of reasons. One of them is the flipper tab, and the other is the choil. So when you disengage a liner lock with your left hand, you pull it rather than pushing it like on your right side. So you pull it aside, and then look at that. Do you see how the tab hits my thumb and allows me to get my thumb out of the way to close it? That is super handy, at least for me, in the left hand. And let's say I miss the tab, I still catch the choil, so I'm still not touching the blade with any vulnerable part of my hand. I can clear my thumb out and close the blade. Same thing here on the CRKT Journeyer. Disengage. This one's a little trickier because it's not an easy liner lock. Ugh, there we go. And you can see it come down, and that blade is still not touching me because of that finger choil. So a choil or a flipper tab is going to help you out a lot if you're left-handed and struggling to find knives that are going to work on your left side. Of course, there are some ambidextrous full-size knife locking designs. Here's a Lightning OTF. So this is a double action automatic, not legal everywhere, however, undeniably easy to use in either hand. Just push and pull, no problem there. The Spyderco ball lock is another great one for the left hand. This disengagement mechanism runs all the way through the handle, so you just pull back on it, whoops, pull back, close it down. I'm definitely better with the right hand, mostly because I use this pocket clip for leverage. So when I'm disengaging, you can see here, I am getting my fingers on there, and that helps me to pull on this ball lock a little more. So there's another point of interest as far as being able to switch the clip to either side. It does help disengage some lock mechanisms. There are even assisted knives that work pretty well in the left hand. Here's a SOG Aegis. This one's currently for sale, but I just want to show this off. So it deploys like that, and then you pull back on this little thing. And this is actually a little bit better in the left hand, so I can disengage with the middle finger, push with my index, and then finish it off with my thumb. That's not as easy in the right hand because I have to disengage with the thumb, push with the index, and now I've really got to muscle it down with those two fingers. So having that third finger in there really helps to disengage this one for sure. And there you go, some full-size knife locks that work in the left hand. I'd like to add in that frame locks aren't always the best in the left hand, but there are some exceptions. Here's the Real Steel H6S1. This one's pretty good in the left hand because of the thumb studs. If these were metal, they would pretty well rip up your fingers, but this one's not too bad. I like to get my middle finger under there and flick the blade out, and that's surprisingly good. And then I'm actually on the lock side with my left hand, so I can engage that lock, and then it can't come closed. And then check it out. When I disengage, there's a little tab right there, so I can clear my hand, close the blade. So yeah, just be on the lookout for things that might be exception to these general kind of discussion rules that I'm giving you. And let's roll in the easy victors of the left-handed knife category. This is anything with a back lock. This is a Spyderco Chaparral, and you can see here that this is the lock mechanism. So let's open it lefty. You can see we have another finger choil here. So basically, on either side, either hand can depress this lock, right? Depress it, let the blade fall down, and look at that. No sharpened blade is touching my finger. And then we can clear our hand and close the blade. And as I said earlier, the smaller the blade, the easier this is to perform with either hand. So in terms of ambidextrous knives, Spyderco basically has the market cornered. Yeah, I mean, it's a piece of cake. Even this little man bug is pretty easy once you get that blade to fall. There it goes. Okay, and I think that pretty much wraps up my discussion today. Thank you for joining me. If you like this video, give it a like, and if you want to see more content, I also do fountain pen videos and multi-tool videos and a bunch of different stuff. So if you like it, please subscribe to the channel. You can also check out my Patreon. It is free to join. All right, I've been Joe. You've been watching Ink&Iron. And thank you for joining me. I'll catch you on my next video. Bye.